What's up guys, Tim here from Audio Tutor. So virtual drums, virtual drummers, virtual drum machines, those awesome tools that you add into your mix, into your arrangement, and the algorithms automatically create an amazing drum arrangement for you for your new song. It's an awesome tool. Maybe you've used Easy Drummer. Give me a thumbs up if you've used Easy Drummer. Maybe you've used Logic's Virtual Drummer. I love that tool. Give me a thumbs up if you've used that. These things are awesome, but maybe you've made a mistake that I've seen lots of people do. You have disregarded the Virtual Drummer as something just to use for songwriting, for arranging, and not for your final mix or your final production. And this is a mistake. Because with the new technologies and the algorithms that these things use and the sampling that these things use, they can definitely be used in a final production, and they are being used in final productions all over the world right now. Because sometimes we are recording and mixing and producing a whole song on an aeroplane these days, or maybe we're making a song in a hotel room, or maybe we don't have the recording space for an entire drum kit. Maybe we don't have a Latin session kit available to us at the time. Maybe we just can't afford to hire a drummer. All of these different things. Maybe, and this is my favorite one, maybe you are just playing through your song, your arrangement, and you're just liking how it sounds with a virtual drummer. And that's fine too, and you're kind of thinking, maybe I don't need a real drummer because this virtual drummer sounds great anyway. So these are all great reasons. Today, actually, I've been looking back on this year's videos. Audio Tutor is nearly a whole year old. That's amazing. And I've been looking back and I found this two-part series that was really interesting about tuning your virtual drums. And this is something that takes part within the recording phase of your virtual drummer. Obviously, there isn't really a recording phase, but we have to kind of treat things that way. We have to kind of treat things as if there is a recording phase and there is a mixing phase. So this is something that takes place in the recording phase. It's tuning your virtual drums, and it's a two-part series, but what I've done for you today is put them back to back so you can get the whole lesson all in one. So it's going to be something like a 20-minute video, 30-minute video, something like that. So enjoy. Before we get into that, if you are interested in recording and mixing, you have no idea, though, what equipment you need to get going in the world of audio. You know, maybe you know that you need some speakers or some headphones and you need software or something, and maybe you're confused about the whole thing. I have a guide for you, an absolutely free guide that's available there's a link below in the description or above, depending on what platform you're on. But there is a link. Click that. It's a 25-page, absolutely free guide telling you all that equipment that you need to get started recording and mixing on an affordable budget. And it's stuff that I've used, stuff that I love, and there's some prices on there and all of that stuff. So check it out. It's absolutely free, as I said. Check it out. Let's dive into this Tuning Your Virtual Drums Part 1 and 2. Let's go. The first concept to talk about is general drum tuning, i.e. tightening and loosening. In order to understand this first concept, we're going to look at just the snare drum on its own. Now, the first question I need you to ask yourself is, what style is my song? All right, what style and genre does your song or arrangement fall into? Is it pop rock? Is it R&B? Is it a slow jam? Is it funk? Is it heavy metal? And then also, what tempo and feel does my song have? So once you've got your genre and style down, what tempo and feel does my song have? Is it slow? Is it up-tempo? Is it laid back? Is it pushing forward? Now, once you've got these questions answered, I need you to think about these two words in relation to your snare drum sound. These two words, guys. The first word is punch, and the second word is pop. Think about your snare drum sound, punch versus pop. So what do these words mean to you? Let me know in the comments section below. Let me know, what do these words mean to you? Punch versus pop in a snare drum sound. Now, to me, these words could also be beefy versus snappy, or even fat versus tight. All right, so punch, beefy, fat versus pop, snappy, tight. All right, to me, a punchy sound in a snare drum lies around 250 to 350 hertz mark, all right? And the poppy snare sound lies around 600 hertz. Now, if you want to hear what I mean, just go ahead now, dial up those frequencies on a snare sample or recording that you have, just use an EQ plugin and find those frequencies. Once again, that's 250 to 350 for the punchy sound. And for the poppy sound, you want to boost somewhere around the 600 hertz. And you're going to hear what I'm talking about here, that difference between punch and pop. So a great example of a punchy snare would be a big ballad. All right, so think of the 90s, think of Celine Dion and that epic Titanic stuff, all right? In that style, you commonly hear a seriously big, epic snare sound with a ton of reverb and atmosphere for days. A tight popping snare wouldn't work in the same way for this style of music, would it? You need that big ambient snare drum that's punchy rather than poppy. So on the other hand, we have faster music, say 120 to 140 BPM, dance music, pop music, funk. Now in these styles we hear snappy snares. That's a tongue twister. Snappy snares that keep us dancing, of course. And then in some genres, like trap music, for example, we even start to gate the snare in order to make it even shorter and sharper and snappier, don't we? All right, so this is the first concept, guys. What style of music are you creating? And which type of snare is going to be most suitable for this song? Do you need your snare to punch through the mix or pop through the mix? All right, there is a difference. Do you need it to punch through the mix or pop through the mix? Now, once you've figured that out, guys, we then need to look at how to achieve these two sounds, all right? Punching or popping. One way we could do this, we could grab an EQ, of course. We could grab an EQ, like I told you earlier, just boost those frequencies that I mentioned. So 250 to 350 for the punchy sound, or 600 hertz for the poppy sound. But a much more effective way of achieving your drum sound is to start back at the recording phase. Get things right at the source. I love saying that, and I really believe it. You should get things right at the beginning, then you've got less to worry about later. We can achieve both these sounds by tuning the snare drum. All right, we can achieve a punchy sound or a poppy sound by tuning the snare drum. If you want to create a more beefy and punchy sounding snare drum, the first thing to do would be to loosen the drum head. Loosening that skin on the drum head is going to allow it to vibrate at a lower frequency and thus get fatter. Now, if you want tightness, on the other hand, you want tightness and pop to your snare sound, tightening that drum head will crisp things up, all right? Now, in the real world, with real drums, this can all take a bit of time. You have to use that little key thing and go around, I think it's clockwise you go. You have to go to the opposite pin as you go around the drum, and it takes a long time, believe me. But lucky for us, hey, we're in the virtual world with our virtual drums, so all we need to do is have a look for our tuning dial, and we just need to choose whether we're going to turn it up or turn it down. Turning it down to the left will result in a fatter, sloppier sound because we're loosening up that skin, all right? Turning it up to the right will result in a sharper, tighter sound because we're tightening up the skin on that drum head. So let's look at this with our virtual drummer here in Logic Pro 10. Okay guys, here we are in Logic Pro 10 with the drummer set up. This is Darcy playing the Bluebird kit. Alright, so what have we got set up here? The tempo is 80. We've got a 6/8, so this is our slow ballad we're doing here. We've got a nice slow ballad in 6/8 or 3/4, depending on how you're going to write a ballad. I usually go for 6/8, but it's a debate that's always ongoing. And the arrangement we've got here is kick, snare, hi-hat, and I've got a little shaker in there going on as well. I mean, I kind of just threw this together. Let's have a listen to it first. Okay, yes, pretty normal, the normal type of drum beat you might have for a slow ballad. The thump thump, snare, thump thump, snare, and the shaker is just kind of keeping us in time, basically. All right, so if we want to look at tuning our drums, what we'll need to do, and you may or may not have even known this, it took me a while to even work this out, head on over here to where it says Drum Kit in the channel strip. And you'll get this comes up, Drum Kit Designer. Hello, there's your drum kit. And now what we're going to do is as we mentioned before, for this style of song, we're going to loosen up those drum heads. So you can click on each thing here. Yes. Right, you can click on each piece of the kit and do all sorts of things with them. So let's look at the snare drum first. And over here we've got the tune dial, and we're just going to turn it down. Well, let's say something about there. So now it sounds like this. As opposed to right, so we've loosened up the top head of the snare drum there and just tuned it down, so it's now a looser, sloppier sound that is more appropriate for this style of music. We can do the same on the toms here. You actually have the option to work on each tom individually. You got low, mid, high, but for this we're just going to grab all and tune them all down a little bit. Great. And lastly, let's look at the kick, and let's tune that down a bit. Alright, so now we've got the kick tuned down, we've got the toms tuned down, and the snare tuned down as well. Great. Okay, so let's listen to that now with everything tuned down. We've loosened all the skins and all the heads on those drums to kind of loosen up our sound, make things a little bit more sloppy and lazy, make things more appropriate for this style of music. Let's have a listen. Great. All right, so what we're going to do now to kind of give you an example of what we're doing here and the difference we're making is I'm going to double this up and do a tight version as well, so we can kind of compare the two. So let me duplicate this track and we'll double this arrangement, and then we'll call this one loose and we'll call this second one tight. And on the tight version, we're going to go back into this drum kit designer here, and we're just going to grab all our instruments and tune them up instead. Alright, so now I'm going to do like an A-B comparison. You can hear the difference between a loose drum kit and a tight drum kit on this style of song. It makes a huge difference, doesn't it? It's way more appropriate to have that loose sound on something that is slow like this and more epic and impactful, alright? But let's do another example. Let's change our song style to more of that up-tempo stuff we were talking about, that dance style or more pop or something like that, right? Obviously we don't have a full arrangement here, we're just looking at drums. So let's go up here, we're going to take the tempo up to, say, 130? Let's do 130. Not 120 or 140, but right in the middle. Alright, and we're going to change to a 4/4. Alright, and it automatically changes there for you. I love Logic. Alright, let's listen to the loose sound in this new style. So we're nice and up-tempo, 130 BPM, and it's a 4/4. It's maybe more of a dance track, something like that, or a pop rock track. Let's listen to the loose version on this. Kind of sloppy, right? Kind of, it feels like a mess, a little bit of a mess. Let's listen to the tight version instead. Alright, let me fix this loop because it's gone to 6, but it should be 8. There you go. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to A-B again so you can really hear the difference and why it is more appropriate to have a tight drum kit on this style of song as opposed to a loose drum kit. Let's start with the tight this time. Alright, we're pretty extreme on the tight version here, so let me take that down a bit. I think on the snare it's pretty extreme. Let me take that down a little bit, like that. Alright, and I mean even if we just listen to the fill at the end, so much more lively compared to this. Right, the tight version is just way more lively, makes you feel like, yeah, let's get up and go. Right? Just because we're tightening the drum heads, we're just lifting things. Alright? So there you go. This is that general concept of loosening or tightening the drum head. Right? We're not thinking about anything else, we're just loosening or tightening. So that's concept 1, guys. General tuning, loosening or tightening, i.e. punch or pop. Now concept 2 is a great one that recording engineers use all the time, and it's very plug and play, which is great. Concept 2 is tuning your drums to the key of your song. Alright, tuning your drums to the key of your song. Tuning to the key of your song has been a surefire tuning method for a long, long time now. Often this technique can make a big difference to how your drums cut through the mix, as well as how they mesh with the mix as well. So for example, if your song is in the key of C, you'd want to tune your kit also to the key of C. Your snare might be on a C or an E, your toms in key as well, your kick, even a synth kick as well, could be driving home that tonic note, that C. This can have a really fast effect on your mix, and it's such a simple idea, and as I said, it's very plug and play. So how do we do this? How are we going to tune the drums in our virtual world? How are we going to tune these drums into the key of our song in the virtual world? Let's have a look. Okay, so we need to tune our drums into the key of our song. So how would we do that in the normal, in the real world, in the analog world? Well, we'd have our drum kit, and we'd probably have a piano. It's usually a piano, and you'd play a note, and then you tune it in to your drum kit. All right, so you'd be playing a note on the piano and then playing the drum and then tuning things to get them to sound the same. That's how you tune anything, right? And we can recreate that scenario virtually here. So what I've done here is I've grabbed a grand piano, little virtual instrument here in Logic, and let's open this up. I'm just going to use the musical typing function. And let's say it's in the key of C, this song. So we know the triad of C is C, and then E, and then G. Right, and then you can play the C on top if you want. Lovely. All right, so what we can do is we can open up our drum kit designer. Right, like this. Make sure you can see everything here. Alright, and then we can play the chord and tune our drums to fit in with that chord. So I've already had a play around here. Let's have a look at the snare drum here. If I play the chord, make sure we're selecting the right one. There we go. You can hear that snare drum is playing the G. Right, it's not exact, and it probably could be a little bit better, but it's around that G. Alright, so all I did there was I just tuned things down by apparently 49 cents. Alright, I just lost 49 cents, damn it. Alright, so I tuned things down just a tiny bit to end up with that G. Nice. Alright, now let's look at the toms. So with the toms, let me see, I went individually here, so if you go on the high one here, I tuned things up. I think that's on the G as well. You hear that? You can hear it more if you don't listen to the initial impact, listen to the tailing off. And that's where you hear the note more. Maybe be a nism higher, maybe. Yeah. Nice. Let's go to the middle. The middle, I left it where it was. I think that's an E. Again, could be a tiny bit sharper. Take it up a little bit. Alright. And then the low tom, which I tuned up a little bit to be the C. Alright, and it's not exact, but the idea is you're somewhere in the ballpark to make sure that your drums just kind of fit into the key of your song. So again, let's listen to all these toms. We've got the key of C, low. You can really hear that when you do all three. This is the C. Then we got the E. It sounds more like a D actually. Let's turn that up a little bit. Just a nism. Right. Ding dong dong. Right. Nice. Nice. And then the snare is on that G as well. Alright, I don't know if I did the kick yet. It almost sounds like it is in key. Alright, but there you go. That's how we would do it. So we're just recreating that idea of if you were in a room with a pianist and a drummer, you would get the pianist to play a note on their piano, on their keyboard, and then the drummer would try and find that note by tuning their drum kit. Alright, so we're just recreating that same concept here, and here is how you do it. Now guys, I like both of these techniques, but in fact, I sometimes like to do a bit of both. I like to kind of mix and match. What I've often done is I've tuned my kick and toms to the key of the song, but then left the snare drum out, and then I use the punch or pop technique for my snare drum. Alright, so I either tighten it up or loosen it. See, I sometimes find that a snare tuned in key can become noticeable and annoying. Sometimes, only sometimes, and it's obviously a subjective thing. So guys, look, there are the two concepts. Try them out for yourself and see what you like, and see if you want to mix and match as well, or if you just like one technique over the other. But there they are. I'm laying them out there for you. Go and try them. That's the point. Go and try these techniques for yourself. All right, guys. Well, I hope that helped. I hope that was interesting to you. By the way, guys, happy holidays. That is a Christmas tree, but happy holidays, whatever holiday you may be celebrating. Here's to a great new year and all of that. As I said before, Audio Tutor is nearly a whole year old. It was started in January of this year, so exciting times. One more time, the free little Christmas gift if you will. If you are looking to get started in the world of recording and mixing, but you don't know what equipment you need, I have a full recommendations list. It's a 25-page guide. It's in the description below this video or above this video. There's a link. You'll see it. It says like get your free ebook or something like that. It's my little Christmas gift to you. Enjoy, have fun, get out there, make some awesome recordings and some awesome audio, and Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Ciao.